Have you ever reached a point in life where you stood on the edge of change and thought, should I take this leap or should I just stay where I am? That's exactly the kind of conversation former Today co-anchor Hoda Kotb wants to have with you in her brand new book, Jump and Find Joy, Embracing Change in Every Season of Life. Hoda isn't just sharing inspirational quotes or nice sayings that sound good on paper. She's giving us real, raw, and deeply personal stories from her own life and from people she deeply admires, from career moves to heartbreak to motherhood, and even rediscovering her identity after major life pivots. Hoda lays it all out with honesty, humor, and a sense of hope that feels incredibly relatable. Today, we're diving into the lessons, the stories, and the emotions behind her latest book. And by the end of this video, you might just be inspired to take your own leap of faith. When Hoda Kotb sat down to write this book with her longtime collaborator Jane Lorenzini, she didn't want it to be just another motivational read that sits on a shelf. Instead, she wanted to create something that feels like a personal conversation between herself and the reader. That's why the very first dedication in the book is directly addressed to you. She describes her readers as curious, hopeful, and determined. Right there, she sets the tone. This isn't just a memoir, and it's not just a self-help book. It's a mix of stories, both her own and those of others, that together encourage anyone reading to embrace change, take risks, and not shy away from life's messier parts. Hoda makes it clear that this isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. And that honesty is what makes her words land with such authenticity. By the end of the book, Hoda makes it clear that what she wants readers to take away is not complicated. Taking the jump is always worth it. Maybe you'll land in the right place, or maybe you'll realize that what you thought you wanted isn't truly for you. Either way, the act of leaping forward clears out mental clutter and frees you to keep moving. She shares the example of someone who dreams of being a florist, tries it out, and decides it's not for them. That person doesn't fail. They succeed in eliminating a what-if from their mind. Hoda argues that resilience comes not from never stumbling, but from being willing to try. And she hopes her stories motivate readers to embrace that mindset in their own lives. So what does all of this mean for you, the reader, or in this case, the viewer? Hoda Kotb's Jump and Find Joy is more than just her personal story. It's an invitation for you to examine your own. It's a reminder that life is full of seasons, and each one brings opportunities to embrace change, to be brave, and to seek joy. Whether it's ending a relationship with grace, taking a chance on a new career, or simply deepening the connections you already have, the book encourages you to take that leap. And as Hoda herself says, even if the jump doesn't go the way you expect, you've gained something valuable: clarity, growth, and the courage to move forward without regret. At the end of the day, the message is simple, heartfelt, and deeply human. What's real is real, and that's life. Throughout the book, Hoda weaves together stories from her own life with those of people she has had meaningful conversations with, particularly through her podcast, Making Space. Since launching that project in 2021, she has interviewed countless individuals who've taken bold risks in relationships, careers, and personal journeys. She highlights figures like Anne Lamott, the celebrated writer who found love later in life, country star Thomas Rhett, motivational powerhouse Mel Robbins, and Academy Award-winning actress Viola Davis. Each of these voices adds perspective to the central message of the book, that jumping into the unknown is often worth it, even if the outcome isn't what you initially imagined. By showcasing people across different walks of life, Hoda builds a kind of community within the pages. A reminder that nobody is navigating big leaps alone. But Hoda doesn't just spotlight other people's courage. She opens up about her own defining moments. She recalls her parents' move from Egypt to America, a leap that shaped her entire life. She writes about transitioning from local news to Dateline, a career risk that would ultimately place her on one of the biggest stages in journalism. She shares about her marriage, her divorce, and later, her engagement to Joel Schiffman, an engagement that ended in 2022 after nearly a decade together. These aren't polished anecdotes designed to make everything look easy. Instead, Hoda talks about the confusion, the heartache, and the freedom that came with each turning point. Her voice in the book feels like that of a friend who's saying, "Look, I've been through it too. Here's what I learned, and maybe it'll help you in your own journey." One of the most powerful parts of the book is when Hoda describes her time at the Hoffman Institute, a week-long retreat that focuses on personal growth and transformation. It was there, she says, that she had a breakthrough moment. She stood in front of a group of strangers and admitted something she had never openly confessed, that she felt like a phony in her relationships. For years, she had carried herself with optimism, trying to make everything work, even when deep down, something wasn't right. That raw moment of honesty, she explains, was one of the best 10-second decisions of her life. From there, she began to embrace a more authentic version of herself, one where she could admit when something wasn't working, even in a relationship that had lasted nearly a decade. This revelation led directly into how she chose to redefine her relationship with Joel Schiffman. Instead of framing the end of their engagement as a failure, Hoda saw it as a transition. She explains that their love simply shifted into a different form, one of friendship and co-parenting. And today, that's exactly what they share. Joel remains an important part of her life and a dedicated father to their two daughters, Haley and Hope. Together, they co-parent with openness, joy, and authenticity. Hoda shares how weekends might involve barbecues, laughter, and casual time spent together as a family, even if the romantic part of their relationship is no longer present. It's a refreshing take that reminds readers and viewers that sometimes relationships evolve, and that evolution doesn't have to be bitter or painful. It can actually be something beautiful. Of course, a huge part of Hoda's story is motherhood. She often reflects on how her parents instilled resilience and a strong work ethic in her, and she hopes to pass the same values on to Haley and Hope. In her book, she talks about wanting her daughters to grow up confident, independent, and aware of their own worth. She wants them to study what they love, play the sports they enjoy, and choose friends who make them happy. Most importantly, she wants them to see firsthand what leadership, hard work, and confidence look like through her own example. She believes that raising confident children is one of the greatest gifts a parent can give, because confidence shields kids from being taken advantage of and helps them move through life making choices on their own terms. In addition to parenting and relationships, Hoda's book explores her professional pivots. She recounts her early years in local news, her leap to NBC's Dateline, and eventually her decades-long career on Today. In September 2024, she announced that she would be leaving the show after years of early mornings and constant deadlines. For many, stepping away from such a high-profile role might feel terrifying. But for Hoda, it was another leap of faith, this time into a slower, more intentional life where she could focus on her daughters, her company Joy 101, and her personal growth. She compares this new chapter to being a beginner again, like a kid starting at a new school. It's nerve-wracking, but it's also filled with excitement and the chance to grow in unexpected ways. Her reflections on leaving Today also tie into one of the bigger themes of the book, the importance of not living with what-ifs. She admits that in her earlier years, she almost stayed in local news out of fear of leaving behind something comfortable. But she knew that if she didn't take the opportunity to move forward, she would always wonder what could have been. That thought, "What if I never tried?" became a guiding principle throughout her life. It's a principle she hopes readers will apply to their own situations, Whether it's trying out a new career path, pursuing a passion project, or even exploring a relationship, the idea is simple. If it works, you've found something amazing. And if it doesn't, at least you know you tried, and you can move forward without regret. As Hoda shares these stories, she never shies away from acknowledging the hard parts of life. She admits that getting older has given her the perspective to care less about appearances and more about authenticity. She acknowledges the dark places in her journey, from heartbreak to professional pressure, but she also balances them with the bright, shiny places of love, success, and joy. She emphasizes that real life isn't about choosing between the good and the bad. It's about accepting both and recognizing that they exist together. This honesty is what sets her apart from many other inspirational voices. She's not pretending that everything is always wonderful, but she is showing that even in the most difficult seasons, there's room for growth and transformation.